For Poland Daily News, I'm Phil Goss. Sylwia Spurek, member of the European Parliament, wants to extend a ban on advertising harmful products such as cigarettes. As she pointed out, the law must eliminate advertising that negatively impacts animals or the climate. Spurek wants to ban the advertising of meat and dairy products. Poles are perplexed.
I think it would be Ms. Spurek's dream that we would not eat animals at all. Surely the meat eaters would overthrow any authority that would want to take away their steaks. The pro-vegan activity of member of European Parliament Sylwia Spurek has caused quite a stir. She proposed a new program promoting a total ban on advertising meat and dairy products and a fund to promote veganism. She argues that this will create a modern state, claiming that what we eat is political. People's Party MP Władysław Kośniak-Kamysz does not hide his indignation. Green Party member of European Parliament Sylwia Spurek demands a ban on advertising and promotion of meat, eggs, and milk, the top agricultural exports from Poland, a brand known all over the world. Is this some kind of grim joke? What's next? A ban on pork chops and government monitoring of our meals? Mr. Kośniak-Kamysz, we are on the verge of a climate disaster, and you are excited about the right to pork chops? Or maybe instead of populism, saving a party that has been failing in opinion polls for years? Would you think about human rights, animal rights, and the common good? According to commentators, the whole idea is bizarre. During World War II and under communism, Poles traded meat on the gray market, and I suspect that any ideas of Ms. Spurek would end just there. Ms. Spurek's idea would be funny if she were the only one who supported it. She represents the radical wing of this ideology. For now, internet users are poking fun at her, but if Bill Gates, with all his power and wealth, pushes such ideas as shifting the whole world to synthetic beef, then it isn't quite so funny anymore. Now the problem is that she is influencing legislation, if not national, then in the EU. According to the deputy, products deemed unethical should not be funded from taxpayer money. The most famous Polish vegan said that milk is harmful because the cows must be milked. Milk is like urine. There's no reason to give it away. Cows are raped to be impregnated. Satirist Mikołaj Janusz addresses the absurdity. I had the opportunity to meet Ms. Spurek personally. Initially, I was convinced that she preaches such a message to make herself known as a provocation. I'm convinced now that Ms. Spurek is just like what she says. She's an endless source of such absurdities. Implementation of Ms. Spurek's ideas would be disastrous for farmers and consumers alike. Sylwia Spurek appeals, as she put it, to turn on critical thinking. But it looks like the real goal of the program is to force people to become vegetarian. Polish authorities warn about the start of the third wave of coronavirus. In addition to an increased number of infections, mutations from Great Britain and South Africa have appeared in Poland. The peak of the new wave is expected in April. If the situation worsens, authorities have not ruled out closing the borders. Travelers to Poland will have to present a coronavirus test with a negative result. 8,510 new coronavirus infections were reported on Friday. So far, 1,631,727 Poles have had contact with the pathogen. The virus caused 254 more deaths in Poland, raising the total to 42,077. Poland has one of the highest vaccination rates in the European Union. By Friday, 2,660,776 had received vaccinations, 1,743,841 with the first dose, and 916,935 with the second. Facebook is back at the negotiating table, said Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison on Saturday after the tech giant blocked news to Australian IP addresses. The Australian government has proposed legislation that would force tech platforms to pay news publishers for content. Google softened its position and is negotiating with news providers, while last Wednesday, Facebook barred Australians from finding or sharing news on its service. The move is considered a dramatic escalation in a fight with the government that may have wide-ranging consequences, both domestically and around the world. The news ban has already met with confusion and criticism in Australia. Fire and emergency services, domestic violence charities, state health agencies, and other organizations said they were also affected by the restrictions, prompting outrage among those who said Facebook was restricting access to vital information. In response, the company said it will reverse pages inadvertently impacted by the move. These actions will only confirm the concerns that an increasing number of countries are expressing about the behavior of big tech companies who think they are bigger than governments and that the rules should not apply to them, wrote Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison in a post on his own Facebook page, which did not appear to have been affected by the restrictions. They may be changing the world, but that doesn't mean they run it. The fight between big tech and Australia has been brewing for a long time. The country's regulators released a draft of their proposed rules last summer, which would allow certain media outlets to bargain either individually or collectively with Facebook and Google so they could collect revenue for the news distributed on those websites. Publishers have been arguing for these rules too, and one of the fiercest proponents is Rupert Murdoch's News Corp. The Murdoch-owned news conglomerate, which includes much of Australian media and some UK outlets, as well as the Wall Street Journal and New York Post in the United States, struck a deal earlier this week with Google, which had earlier threatened to shut down its search engine in Australia altogether if the rules become law. Google has signaled that it is taking a different approach from its Silicon Valley rival.
The founders of the European Union were deep believers in Christianity. The Catholic Church completed the beatification process of one of them, French politician Robert Schuman. Today, the European Union is as far away as one can be from the Christian values. Can it be reinstated? This was one of the questions posed during the international conference as part of the debate on the renewal of the European Union organized by the Institute of Schuman Thought.
This is the first debate in a series of meetings devoted to the concept of the Commonwealth of Europe.
Podejmujemy debatę.
We are undertaking a debate that is to lead to proposals for changes in various functional areas of the European Union in order for this institution to return to the main ideas of Schuman, namely reconciliation, solidarity, and peace.
Myśli Schumana.
A Commonwealth of European nations is the idea behind the Founding Fathers. On May 9, 1950, the then French Minister of Foreign Affairs, Robert Schuman, presented a plan for joint coordination of steel production, coal mining, and the creation of the European Coal and Steel Community. Schuman's concept is considered to be the source behind the creation of an organization that eventually united the states of Europe while maintaining their independence. For almost 80 years, this solution prevented conflicts and ensured peace in Europe. Schuman was strongly against the idea of the creation of a European superstate. He was also against federalization of any kind. Robert Schuman was a man with an extremely sharp mind while at the same time deeply religious. The 12 stars on the blue background of the European Union flag refer to the statue of Our Lady of Strasbourg Cathedral. Currently, his beatification process is underway. Today's European Union differs radically from the idea of the Founding Fathers. Left-wing ideology rules the European Union today. This ideology is very aggressive, I would say crazy, focused on destroying basic institutions such as the family. There are many challenges facing Europe in the third decade of the 21st century. Perhaps the most important one is to return to the values that were the cornerstone of the European Union 70 years ago when it was founded.
For Poland Daily News, I'm Phil Goss. Good night.